Ever wonder what sets the winners apart from the losers? And what does it really take to be a winner? My name is Federico, and I'm a young, successful entrepreneur passionate about sports, real estate, mindset, and business. If you are just like me, then the Winning Ways podcast is meant for you. Yo, welcome back to Winning Ways with Fred. My name is Federico, and I am your host. Guys, special show for you guys today. One that you're going to learn in a lot. I have my special friend Yosef here. But first, before I introduce him, please, as always, share the show. The way I'm going to grow the show. Even when I become a top 2 show worldwide, it'll all still be grown via word of mouth, no ads. Now, in today's show, we're going to talk about real estate investing, particularly multifamily investing. The gentleman we have here is a professional within it, and knows the game really well. So without further ado, Joseph, what's up, brother?
Hey, Federico, thank you very much for having me. Very excited to talk about multifamily, my multifamily journey, which is a great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, reading the bio, the questions you sent me over, hate status quo. That's what popped up to me right away. I was like, let's go. It's going to be a great conversation. So tell my audience, man, how you started off in the investing game.
I'm still W-2, part of a firm. I'm an attorney, right?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, my goal was to go up a corporate ladder and become a partner of the firm, etc. As I was working really hard to become a partner of the firm, soon I realized, by nature of my job, I'm trading my time for money. And I started questioning, is this the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, is there anything else that I could be more fulfilled? I mean, don't get me wrong, I really love my job, and doing the litigation is it's fun and joyful. However, thinking about my kids are growing up, thinking about my family, and okay, if I somehow, for some reason, I stop working, right? Then where's the income coming from, right? There's no income coming in. So I started thinking about creating multiple income sources, like passive income and other income sources. So starting from that, I started just searching. I did a little bit of mutual funds and REITs and whatnot, but nothing really threw me.
Yeah.
And then that's around when I stumbled upon the book, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad and Poor Dad. That book just changed my mindset. So from being an employee of a firm, and that kind of pushed me to become thinking like I got to become a business owner or investor, right? So I started educating myself, and going to biggerpockets.com for real estate studyings and watching YouTube videos, whatnot. And soon I got into a multifamily and just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It was around 2019 that I started studying about multifamily.
It's so funny how Rich Dad Poor Dad has changed so many people's lives.
Oh yes, that book. I just call it they call it Purple Bible, right? It's that many people were affected. I mean, it's not practically teaching you how to become rich or anything, how to make money, but that's the mindset change game. I think that's more than 50% of the game.
It is. I agree with you on that. And I think for people that are born and raised with parents and families that are part of the W-2, it's hard to leave. I wouldn't call it a trap, but hard to leave that because you were born in security and all that. That book changed my mindset 100% too. It was great.
Yes. Well, I said trapped. I was trapped.
Yeah.
That's why they call it a rat race, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is, I don't like to call it a trap because some people are in it and they like it. But I agree. For me, it depends on your personality. If you're an entrepreneur like you and I, it's a trap. I want to work for myself and not be trading my time for money.
Right. And nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with being a W-2.
Correct.
I'm W-2 myself, right? And I love my job. It's just you can't just forever be W-2 without preparing for your retirement or without preparing for other income. Because God forbid, every W-2 is trading your time for money. What if something happens to you? And I am part of a personal injury law firm. So I've seen a lot of accident cases. So I've seen a couple of them, it's really, really severe injuries, right?
Yeah.
And then they cannot work. And then I saw the family members were suffering unless they have additional business. But most of the time, they rely on their father's W-2 job. and then if they stop working, then there's no more income sources. That's typical, I think.
Yeah. And we're not, I mean, like middle class families, like I don't, mine at least, I wasn't taught to have multiple streams of income. My dad at the time, with the well intentions, was, hey man, be a doctor, engineer, get a job, safety, plan for retirement. Then I started reading Grant Cardone and different things, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
that's not what I'm going to do. But back to you, Joseph. So that recent acquisition you just did, I believe it was a 44 unit apartment, or you just refied that one now?
A 43-unit apartment was refied back in
Okay.
April of this year. We
Okay.
we acquired a property in December 2020. So
Nice.
it took about a year and a half for us to refi.
So what was the process, man? Was that your first year, your first multifamily, or did you do some prior to this one?
So that deal was my first multifamily deal back in
Wow.
December 2020, right?
Nice.
It took about 10 months for me to do my first deal after I seriously took my next step. I mean, in 2019, I was just doing a self-education, more analysis paralysis stage.
Yeah.
And then I took next step by joining mentorship groups and started doing more education, started more networkings with the players in the game,
Yeah.
and I met my partners in the group, and we closed this one in December. So it took about 10 months
Okay.
from I started.
And your partners, do they have prior experience in the real estate game, or no?
Some of them. So I had to, when I was putting the team together, I got to sit down and I had to analyze what kind of team do I need? Okay,
Of course.
how can I add value to the team, and then what kind of team members do I need to be like a complete as a whole, right? So I have one guy who started around similarly, but he already had an experience with small multifamily and single family. So, and another guy who had been in the game for like a year or two, who was already doing syndication. So he had an experience. I was the one who had the least experience at the
Okay.
time.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And that definitely helps a lot, because I was going to say, wow, your first year was a 43 unit apartment. Good for you, bro. Because typically you start off, right? They recommend single family and then build
Mhm.
up from there. So what's been the experience so far with this first multifamily? Are you craving that second one?
So that's first one. So
Yeah.
after that, in March of 2020, we did our second one, 68 unit syndication. So 44 unit was my joint venture deal, and then 68 unit, my first syndication. So these two deals, second deal also refied back in April with the same lender. And we took out about close to 50% of our original money. And the first one, we took out more than 100%. And so that first property, 43 unit, is still cash flowing after we took out 100%. So it's an infinite return proof of
Wow.
concept.
That's awesome. I mean, for your first deal, that's a home run.
It's a home run, man.
Oh my
It's
God.
still it's what's cash cow now, right?
Yeah.
It's just cash flowing. It's
Man,
great property.
it's impressive though, man, that you're a lawyer, you took that first step, you bought your first deal, and then you just jumped into syndication. Like, you're just making moves. And I didn't know that part, because I'm in that process right now. Me, my partner and I, we're looking to raise capital. So how is that process, man? Was it a lot? Would you say it was a lot harder to go from you buying your own units to syndications? Easier? What were the processes and steps?
Um, I I think you first need to educate, because it's different game. JV is different, syndication is different. And since I'm the proof, you don't have to, I mean, I'll say you don't have to start with smaller multi like duplex or quads. If you're really determined and if you know what you're doing, you could go directly into multifamily 20, 30, 40 units. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Even if my mentor is still saying that you better start with small ones, I agree to a certain point, but I can't agree 100% because I didn't start that way, right? To me, it was just two different games.
Yeah.
And you got to know as long as you know the game, you can go direct multifamily, big, like 30, 40, 50 units, which I did. Process, obviously, syndication is a lot more complicated because now SEC is involved, and you got to use SEC attorney to prepare PPMs and all that, because now you're essentially selling the securities to the limited partners. Joint venture is simpler, right? You only, like, we had 6 partners. We have, each one has a role, and they brought their own capital in, and obviously down payment, and then we, with the lenders, it was a 75% loan to cost.
Yeah.
So we got 75% from the lender for the purchase price, and also 75% of our capex budget was also from the lender. So was great. We started fixing the properties and was able to push the rents and then lower the expenses, reposition the property, and our NOI, started going up. And that's what I love about multifamily, because we, as an owner, we can control the value of the property as opposed to duplex or triplex, where the market decides the property value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's the game. And for example, you're saying mentors tell you to start small. I assume Grant Cardone.
Yeah, of course. He's the first one I listened to.
Yeah, he started with $1 million apartment in California like 20 years ago.
Why do you think I started a big one? Because he always says don't even bother looking at below 16 or 32, right?
Yeah.
And my initial goal was, okay, so if he says that, he's one of the big names out there. If he says that, it might be true. So I didn't bother looking at below 10. To me, at that time, 16 looked really big. So I'm like, okay, so I wanna find a sweet spot of over 10, but below 16. So I was like looking for 12 units. But then somehow this 44 unit came to us, and with the team. I mean, if I were alone, probably I would have not been able to pull the trigger. But with the team experience, I was able to leverage their experience, their expertise, and I added my expertise as value of reading contracts and being a communication channel for all the other attorneys. That's basically my role throughout the acquisition period, moving the things between the attorneys together.
Yeah. I don't know if you notice it, but you emphasize a lot when you talk about your team. The team. That's
It's
cool, man.
an essential part of my journey.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I feel like with if you guys are watching this on YouTube, Yosef is 40. I know he looks 30, but he has a team, he has kids and everything. But I'm sure with that experience too, it's helped you lead the team you're building too. And I feel like you guys balance off each other, because you said one of the guys has syndication. You're a lawyer, so you know contracts. And the third partner you said also was involved in real estate.
Right. And we also had each deal, we had an additional secondary partners who helped out with capital raising. So I was not under pressure to raise capital for my own deal, because we had secondary partners who raised capitals. So, and then we shared the GP ship, right? Yeah. I mean, don't try to be greedy unnecessarily, right? I mean, you could do everything yourself and own 50% of the deal, or you could go 100% of the deal if you could do it all your own. But I would rather own 10% of the deal from 10 different buildings as opposed to own 100% of one building and do a lot more deals with them.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like it's a little easier to scale that way, because if you're 100% on one deal and one thing goes wrong, that
could be it. That could be it. So after that second deal in March 21, I got involved with another team. So I have essentially two teams that I do JV together, and the other team that I do syndication. And with the other group, we closed a couple more deals in 2021 in April, 64 unit, 36 unit in May, 72 unit in June, skipped July, 130 in August, 151 in September, all syndication in 2021 alone.
Nice, man. Nice. Now let me ask you this, because you seem like a very tactical person. Like you're taking steps and you got your plan here. What's the next 5 to 10 years look like for you? Like what's your plan for real estate?
5 years. So it's my third year, right? This is my third year. It's going to be soon 30-year anniversary. My plan was 1 year education, 5 year, just put your head down and just keep working to acquire the units to create that passive income stream. So 5th year, I'm thinking about hitting my passive income goal. And then from that point on, it's about more financial independence. For the next 5 years, will be more of educating others, trying to teach what I know to others, and more influencing my kids. I'm doing the cash flow 101 games with my daughter, and her friends. Yeah, like once every 3 weeks in my basement. So it's fun and very meaningful to me. And yeah, that's one of the goals, like to try to educate younger people, because I didn't have that education.
I love
my parents were also like W-2 and also small business owners who was not successful. So he came back to conclusion that, you should have worked for like a big company and just be secured, because he had a big corporate job in the beginning, and he was doing really well, and then he did it all. He came out and doing for his own business, and it was not that successful as much as he thought it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that his conclusion was like, okay, that big corporate is the one who secures your position and who's gonna, secure you for the rest of your life, which I don't necessarily agree to.
Yeah.
Right. And
Nowadays it's
so
like
the guy, sorry.
no, because you cut off a little there, but because you cut off when you were saying I don't agree with it, but it's true. I mean, I don't agree with it either, but you got to
Yeah,
say
it's what it is.
yeah.
They that's how they learned it, and that's how I learned it. Unless you take a moment to break the chain, and I forgot who said that, but I heard they said essentially you inherit your debt. You're in debt, and it's inheriting.
Yeah.
And then unless you break the chain, you're gonna inherit the debt to your next generation too.
Yeah.
So you are responsible to pay back the debt and break the chain and get out of it and create some sort of independence, financial independence for the next generation. We want generational wealth. I hear all the time, my generational wealth is probably up to like third generation. I don't know what's going to happen with my fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
We have a saying that a reach will last for third generation only unless you teach them, right?
Yeah.
So my job is to teach them how to create the system, how to run the system, how to grow the system, as opposed to just handing over like, hey, this is cash. There's $1 million. No, I can't do that, right? Otherwise, I know they're gonna lose it for like in a couple of years.
Yeah, man, I agree, and I relate with everything you're saying. Yeah, I think I relate, and a lot of people relate to it because not everybody has different circumstances, but most of us are raised that way, and I relate too in the fact that I want to encourage and motivate young men to take action. Right now, I feel like a lot of people don't take action. They hesitate on whether they should do something or not. And I feel like from 20 to 25 is the time you should take the most risks and try things out. After that, you should maybe narrow it down a little bit. But
yes, that's one thing I definitely agree 100%. Action is I emphasize three things whenever people ask, like, what do you think is what are the factors that you attribute to your, like, semi
success.
I don't know. I want to call
winning.
it a success.
That's why you're here, man.
Yeah,
Success,
winning. It's three things: ENA, right? Education, networking, and action. So you got to educate yourself. You got to know what you're doing, and you got to know who you need to get around with, who you need to surround yourself, because they said you're the average of 5 people that you surround yourself with the most of the time, right? And then lastly, you got to take actions. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. There's no perfect, don't wait for the perfect plan. Like, I waited for the perfect plan sometimes. I'm a lawyer, right? You want to do all the due diligence, but I realize it's going to be too late by the time you feel like, oh, okay. And first of all, there's no perfect plan. Second of all, you just feel like it's close to the perfect plan. But once you wait until that point, everything already started. Everyone else, they already started the game. They're already ahead of time. I think what worked for me was, without waiting for the perfect moment, start it. And then as you go, based on your education, based on your network, try to tweak things around if there's a problem and just keep going, push yourself.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I did, and that's how I was told to do.
Yeah. But it's something too, I don't know if you agree with me here, but we're taught not to give up, to work hard, to be persistent, to take action. But I feel like people don't take action for their bigger goals, for their bigger dreams, for things that seem audacious, right? Like starting your own business. It's like, oh my God, why are you starting your own business? Well, for W-2. But everything you're saying is on point. And one thing that I like to add on to networking is finding mentors and paying for them.
100%.
That's huge. Like, that was crucial. This podcast, little things that have been happening this year for me, was all because a mentor opened my eyes. He was like, dude, you need to share your story. You have a this, you have a that. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Yes. They help you see that bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People who are successful, they're busy, right? Essentially, they're busy. Yeah. And if they, and to be like, to share their knowledge and experience, you need to give something to them. Like you need to add value to them. But what kind of value are you going to add to him? Like he's already successful, he's already ahead of you. Like it's, I think paying them for their sharing of their experience and their knowledge is, I think, the least thing I could do.
The least. You know Alex Hormozy?
Oh, I love him.
I love him too. He paid, I think it was $250,000 to talk to Grant Cardone for 3 hours. And
Yeah,
he said it
something
was
like that.
worth it. But it
Oh.
is. You gain knowledge from these people that are ahead of you. And if you do what they're telling you to do, you will get there too.
I tell you this short story. So before I joined my mentorship group, right, I was talking to many different people whether I should join or not, first of all. And 80% of people told me not to, because for one, you're going to be learning the same thing that you're going to watching from the YouTube free. Two, why don't you spend that money, like 20, 30 grand, to make a down payment and then do buy a property and do do the real education, right? You do it by doing, learn by doing. Yeah. I was like, oh, this guy's a point, right? And I was talking to the other 20% of people. They said, hey, Yosef, I think you should definitely join. You're going to meet a lot of great, amazing people, and your network will grow, and then you will expedite your journey. So I thought about it, and I decided to join and follow the 20% of advice from the 20% of people. Two reasons. One, first of all, I had already determined to go big multifamily. So saving 20, 30 grand would not do much for down payment, because we're talking about millions of dollars property. Like, what are you going to do with $20,000? Right?
That's the roof.
Yeah. Second of all, I see the people who are closing all the big deals were from this 20%. Not this 80%. I'm like, I'll follow their advice. Yeah. And if you focus on even the language they were using, I realized this. The 80% of people, they were emphasizing that's all the free stuff that you could learn, versus the 20% of people say you're gonna meet amazing people throughout the journey and you're gonna get that exclusive network. Right? You see the language difference?
Everything.
That's how I'm able to just keep emphasizing the team, because it's all about people. Yeah. It's a people business.
Yeah. Who, not how. Have you read that book?
Who, not how. I know the book. Yes.
Great book. But man, I agree. I'm big on paying for masterminds, mentorship, paying for friends. And specifically, if you come from middle class like I do, my friends are all middle class too. They're working, they're doing their thing. But if you're entrepreneurial like I am and like you are, they're not on the same page, and you're, like you said earlier, whoever you surround yourself with, that's where you're going to be. I'm in that point right now where it's like my friends are not really doing what I'm trying to do. So I'm like, all right, I'd rather go pay for friends and network with people that have to pay, but it's okay. They have the same mindset and they're going to help me grow. Oh, yes. You know, that's one way I was able to vet my partners. Okay, if these people are ones with my same mindset, like who thinks it's not a cost, it's an investment to yourself when you do education, at least your investment mindset are somehow aligned, right? Yeah. These are serious people who paid for this mentorship group, and I could trust them a little, at least from the beginning. Right? Man, love that. The importance of networking, guys. Yosef exemplified this perfectly. Yosef, I have a question to ask all my guests when they come, and I think you're gonna have a great answer. You can't say the same book you said in the beginning, though. What's one book you'd recommend for somebody that's starting off, that wants to succeed? That one that made a big impact, that's not Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's not Rich Dad Poor Dad? No, because you already said that. It's not really. Okay, I already said that. Or a podcast or a movie. It doesn't have to necessarily be a book. Okay. And I'll watch a podcast from at least from the big names out there. Like my mentorship group was Jake and Gino and MIT Mastermind. Okay. So their podcast is great. Grant Cardone, Michael Blank, Vinny Chopra, and all these people. There's a reason why their names out there as a big guys like Joe Fairless. It's because at least they did something right, right? So follow their advice, listen to it. But again, by just listening to it, nothing will happen. You gotta take an action, right? Take action. I feel like you gotta be consistent and repeat that content. Consistent. Over and over. That's how it really like gets into your head. After listening to it for a year straight, then you're like, oh wow, this actually does work. Man, but this was a, sorry, you're gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say, if somebody asked me like, what was the hardest part, and what will be the hardest part for the next 10 years journey about real estate investing, if somebody asked me, I'll say being consistent.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part.
Isn't that the hardest part for everything though?
Everything, yes. If you're planning to be successful.
Yeah, man. Anybody can
Yeah.
start it off and do it for a couple of weeks, couple of months. Can you do it for years?
Right.
Years and years at a time, not stopping?
And especially being consistent when you don't see the result right away, instantly. Like I said, it took 10 months for me to do my first deal.
Yeah.
But you got to accept the reality. You're doing a big multifamily, not single family flipping. If you're trying to find single family flipping, you could probably find all day long, probably a couple in a million.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, and being patient, falling in love with the process was all that my mentor was telling me. And that was true. Like, I've seen deals being closed left and right. And in the beginning, I was complaining like, why this is not happening to me, you know, because it's hard, right? But again, the answer was being consistent, even though you don't see that result instantly, right?
Yeah, and it's hard, but now you look back at it and you're like, man, thank God I pushed through.
I love to set a goal and be consistent, make it happen, and look back, make a post out of that, like how I set a goal and how much I like achieved.
Yeah.
And then put in a post. I have a couple posts like that.
Really?
So,
nice.
Yeah, it's
man.
good.
Let me ask you something before I let you go. That you caught me right here. When you, because this happens to me, man. It's like you work. You have a goal in mind. You have a goal in mind. Then you get it, and you're like, okay. Like, I celebrated, but then it just doesn't feel like I thought it was gonna feel when I was working towards it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That happens to me so much, man. And then I don't know. I guess I have to learn how to like savor the moment and learn how to enjoy it. But my head, it always goes to, okay, what's next?
Yeah, but that's natural, because that's what's in your DNA. Like, we love to set a goal and achieve, but that shouldn't be the end. Our goal is not to achieve the goals. So I said vision, right? I said vision as something that we will never be able to achieve. And then I have like a goals aligned towards that vision. So vision is like my goalpost. That's the direction, but it's not a goal that I could ever conquer, right? And then you set the goals in between you and the vision. And as you achieve the goals, so that you will find the next one and next one. And that's what makes you like feel like alive, right? Like, what do you call it? So the happiness comes when you progress.
Yeah. Happiness comes from the process, not the outcome or something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
It's true, man. It's true. It's the journey. It's the journey. Kobe, every great has said it too. It's like you got to fall in love with the process of working, not the result itself. Man, but Yosef, thank you so much for the time you gave us today. A lot learned. Where can my audience find you? What's your social media?
I try to be active on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, and TikTok, even TikTok too. And
Omnipresence.
Yes, omnipresence. I have one single handle for all the social media: Yosef Your Brosef. So YOSEF, your YOURBROSEF, and I'm there.
That's easy enough. Yosef Brosef.
Yosef Your Brosef.
Oh, Yosef Your Brosef. Well, regardless, guys, as always, this will be on the notes. Give this guy a follow. Very knowledgeable. He knows the multifamily. And you could tell in a matter of 5 years, he's going to be the face of multifamily investing. Give him a follow, connect with him, message him. And Yosef, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.